put it down. Whatever you were about to do, whatever the decision was that was forming in you, reaching its final shape, preparing to translate from interior to action, whatever the move was, the message you were about to send, the conversation you were about to initiate, the door you were about to close, the thing you were about to make permanent, put it down for the length of this reading, not forever, not as a permanent withdrawal from the decision, simply for the duration of what I need to tell you, for the specific amount of time it takes to give you information that is relevant to the decision and that you do not yet have because you do not yet have it. And the decision deserves to be made with this information present rather than absent. I want to begin by honoring the fact that you are at a decision point, not casually, not in the way that people are always technically at some decision point in the ongoing navigation of their daily lives, actually at the specific weighted this one matters quality of a decision that has been building toward its necessity for long enough that the necessity has arrived, that has been producing its particular background pressure for long enough that the background pressure has become foreground, that is asking for resolution in a way that earlier stages of the situation were not yet asking. You are here at the decision, and what I am asking you to do is simply to receive one more piece of information before you make it. You are here at the decision, and what I am asking you to do is simply to receive one more piece of information before you make it. I want to say something about why the information matters specifically for you. You are someone who makes decisions carefully, not slowly necessarily, but thoroughly, with the specific Virgo quality of someone who wants to understand the full landscape before they commit to a direction, who does not move until they are reasonably confident that they have accounted for the relevant factors, who has a specific developed relationship with the quality of their own decision making that makes poor decisions, decisions made without adequate information, particularly costly, not because poor decisions are catastrophic, because you will see the poor decision clearly afterward, will be able to identify in retrospect the exact point at which the available information was insufficient and the exact piece that was missing, and that seeing clearly for someone with your quality of intelligence and self-honesty is its own particular form of cost. The information I am giving you is the missing piece. Not so that the decision becomes obvious, so that the decision becomes informed, which is the only kind of decision that is acceptable to you when the stakes are what they are in this situation. Let me tell you what I am seeing, because the reading has a specific picture in it, and the picture is the information. There is a situation in the love dimension of your life that has been in a particular state. The state is complicated, not in the way that complicated is used dismissively as a euphemism for something that is not actually complicated but simply inconvenient to examine honestly. Genuinely complicated, with real elements on multiple sides and real feeling in multiple directions, and this specific difficult quality of something that does not resolve cleanly into the obvious categories that would make the decision straightforward. You have been inside this complication for long enough that the complication has become the baseline, has become the ordinary texture of how things feel in this territory of your life, has stopped feeling like a temporary state that will soon clarify, and has started feeling like simply how things are. but I am not reading a permanent state. I am reading a state that is about to shift. And the shift is what you need to know about before you decide. But I am not reading a permanent state. I am reading a state that is about to shift. And the shift is what you need to know about before you decide. I want to describe the state in more specific terms before I describe the shift, because understanding the state helps you understand what the shift actually changes. The state has a quality of two simultaneous truths, two things that are both real and that point in different directions, where the information available from one angle suggests one conclusion and the information available from another angle suggests something different, where neither conclusion is clearly wrong because both are based on real evidence, just different evidence, selected by the angle from which you have been looking. This is the specific quality of a genuinely complicated situation as opposed to a situation that is simply uncomfortable. Uncomfortable situations have a clear answer that is simply difficult to act on. Genuinely complicated situations have more than one defensible answer. You have been in the genuinely complicated version, and the decision you have been building toward has been the product of looking primarily from one angle, the angle that has been most visible, that has been providing the most consistent and the most recent evidence. That has been the primary frame through which the situation has been experienced. What I am giving you is a different angle, one you have not had full access to. And the view from this angle changes the balance of the two simultaneous truths. I want to describe the shift specifically, because shift without content is not information. Something is changing on the other side of this situation, not in you, in the person or the situation that the decision you are about to make is in relation to, in the specific, relevant, if you knew this, it would change how you are thinking about the decision dimension of what is happening with whatever or whoever this decision is about. The change is toward you, not away from you, which would be the change that would support the decision you may have been forming, not in a neutral direction that would leave the decision unchanged toward you. In the specific, deliberate, has been in process quality of something that is moving in your direction from the other side. And the decision you are about to make, if it is the decision I am reading in your energy, would close the space through which the movement toward you is traveling before the movement arrives. That is what I need you to know. Let me speak to what the movement actually is, because I want to be honest with you about what I am reading, rather than giving you a vague description that could apply to any situation and that therefore provides you with nothing specific enough to actually use. Someone is working up to something, or something is in the process of resolving into a form that will require your engagement, or a situation that has been in one state is crossing a threshold into a different state. In all three possibilities, the same essential fact: the change is happening without your initiation of it, without your decision making having produced it. It is happening from its own momentum, through its own internal process, on its own timeline, has been happening for a period of time, has been in the final stages of its development for longer than you knew, and the timing of its completion is close enough to the timing of your decision that the sequence in which they occur matters. If the decision comes first, the decision changes what the thing that is happening can produce. If the thing that is happening completes first, the decision has different information than it currently has. This is the information I am giving you. Wait for the thing to complete, then decide. I want to speak to something about the decision itself because I do not want this reading to simply be about delaying a decision. I want to give you the full picture of what the decision is actually about. The decision you have been forming is the product of a particular reading of the situation, a reading that is based on the available information on what you have been able to see and hear and sense from your position in the situation, on the specific, necessarily limited picture that your vantage point produces. That reading is not wrong, it is incomplete. The part that is missing, the part I have been describing as the change that is happening from the other side, is not something that was available to be included in the reading because it has been happening in places you do not have direct visibility into, has been developing in the interior of another person or in the hidden mechanics of a situation without producing sufficient external evidence to reach the visibility threshold that would have allowed you to track it. Your reading has been accurate as far as it goes. What I am telling you is that it does not yet go far enough. And the decision that feels right based on the incomplete reading may feel different based on the complete one. Tell me in the comments if this reading is finding you at the right moment. If there is a decision about a love situation that you have been circling or building toward or approaching the necessity of, and that has not yet been made, if the quality of what I am describing, the sense that something on the other side is in motion that you do not have full visibility into, matches something you have been intuiting without being able to confirm, tell me if this reading arrived when it needed to arrive. I want to speak to the specific quality of waiting that I am asking you to practice. Because wait is a word that can produce a particular unhelpful response in someone who has been waiting already. This is not more of the same waiting. The waiting you have been doing, if you have been waiting, has been the passive, indefinite, nothing specific is happening. I am simply enduring quality of someone who does not know what they are waiting for or when it will arrive or whether it will arrive. The waiting that is characterized by the specific draining quality of absence of information. What I am asking you to practice is different. Active waiting, the specific alert, I know what I am waiting for quality of someone who has been told that something is in motion and who is creating the conditions for that thing in motion to arrive and to be received rather than being closed off by a prior decision. Who is holding open a space that the prior decision would have closed? Who is maintaining availability for something that is coming rather than preemptively closing down in advance of its arrival? That is a different quality of waiting entirely. It has a different energy, it has a direction, and it has a horizon. Not the indefinite horizon of waiting without knowing. The close, specific, days, not months horizon of something that is already in its final stage of approach. Hold the space open for a specific, limited, already determined period. Then, when what is in motion has arrived, make the decision. From the full picture, hold the space open for a specific, limited, already determined period. Then, when what is in motion has arrived, make the decision. From the full picture, I want to describe what holding the space open looks like in practice because it is a specific active quality and it is worth knowing what it actually requires. It does not require anything visible. The holding of the space is entirely interior. It is the specific, quiet, not announced to anyone decision to not make the other decision yet, to refrain from the action that the forming decision was going to produce, to maintain the openness of what was approaching closure. Nobody needs to know you are holding the space. The holding does not require a conversation with the person or the situation, does not require announcing a pause or explaining a delay or making any external gesture that would signal the holding to the people around you. It is simply not closing what the decision was going to close. In the ordinary, daily, nothing special is happening quality of a week of your life. And in that week, what is in motion completes its motion. And when it arrives, you will have the fuller picture from which the real decision becomes available. I want to speak to something about what you deserve in this situation, because the reading is not simply about the situation and what is happening in it. It is about you and what the situation deserves to provide you. You deserve a decision made with complete information, not the decision that feels most controllable from a position of incomplete information, not the decision that reduces the uncertainty of a complicated situation by resolving it into a certainty you chose rather than waiting for the certainty that the situation itself is about to produce. The certainty the situation is producing is better than the certainty you would be choosing. Better in the specific, grounded, comes from reality sense of being more accurate, of being based on what is actually happening rather than on what seems most likely given what has been visible so far. You have been operating from what has been visible so far. What is about to become visible changes the picture. Wait for the picture to be complete. Then choose from the complete picture. That is what you deserve, not the decision made from the incomplete version, the one made from the full one. Let me speak to the love dimension of this specifically, because the title names love, and the love deserves its direct address. What is moving toward you from the other side of the situation is love adjacent, not necessarily love declared or love confirmed in the specific, official, now we know where we stand way that declarations produce. Something more prior than that. Something in the territory of someone moving toward an honest engagement with what they feel, of the specific interior work that precedes the external expression of feeling finally having reached the point of completion where the external expression becomes the natural next step. They have been doing interior work. That is what the movement has been. Not movement in the world in a direction that would be visible to you. Interior movement. The specific, private, nobody can see this happening quality of someone working through something in themselves that has been standing between them and a clearer expression of what they feel the working through is completing. And when something that has been preventing expression completes its resolution, what follows is the expression. The expression is what is approaching. The decision you are about to make would arrive before the expression does. The expression is what is approaching. The decision you are about to make would arrive before the expression does. I want to give you a sense of what the interior work has actually been, because knowing what they have been working through will help you understand the significance of its completion. They have been working through fear, the specific, legitimate, built from real experience, fear that comes from someone who has been hurt in the territory of love before and who has consequently developed a relationship with vulnerability in that territory that is more cautious than they might otherwise be, Who has, before expressing something significant to someone significant, a particular quality of checking and rechecking, that the expression is warranted, that the ground is solid enough, that the risk is one worth taking. The checking and rechecking is the interior work, and the interior work is what takes the time. Not because the feeling is uncertain. The feeling has not been uncertain for a significant stretch of time, because the moving from the certainty of feeling to the courage of expression requires a process that cannot be shortened beyond a certain point without compromising the quality of what is expressed. The process has been running. It has been running at the pace it needed to run at, and it is reaching its conclusion. The conclusion is the expression, which is approaching toward you. As we close, I want to give you one practical thing to carry out of this reading, not an instruction for how to manage the situation or what to do differently or how to position yourself for what is coming. Something simpler than any of that. Give it a week. Not as a strategic holding pattern designed to produce a particular outcome in the other person or the situation. As a genuine, this reading has given me information I did not have quality of allowing something that is already in motion to complete its motion before you make permanent something that would stop the motion prematurely. 1 week. In that week, what is moving will have arrived in a form you can engage with, or something will have become clear that allows the decision to be made from a fuller picture than the one available today. Either way, the week will have produced more information than the decision made today would have had access to. And more information in this specific case is not simply interesting. It is the difference between a decision that you will look back on as right and one you will look back on wondering what would have happened if you had waited just a little longer. Wait just a little longer, Virgo. The thing that is coming is worth the wait.